Back again. Had a little problem there. The SD card filled up, and I did a couple of things on there that I didn't realise card had gone down, so I missed a bit. But we try and explain kind of where we kind of left off. Drilled all them up, mounted it all on, bolted it all up, all went on nicely. And then we've got to start doing obviously the reader bracket, which is I've kind of set up now, and I'm going to sort of bring the camera in and sort of, you know, kind of show you how I'm going about it. No real traumas, just that you've got to come up with the best idea you can, can't you? So we bring the camera down at the moment to where we're at there. Alright, as you can see here, we've got the bracket on the front there, front of this. The piece of timber there is what I'm actually using. I've put the timber in, cut a piece of timber so, you know, it's reasonable length as I can work in there, you know. And I've just brought the table back and jammed it, you know, jammed it between the table and the body. Just to hold my bracket there, so you know I've got a couple of hands free. So that at the moment is there. I don't know if you can see these lines at the bottom, but they're all like the height lines. I've done a centre line in the middle, centre line on the bracket, so we end up, you know, in the correct place. The height basically with the reader arm, if you like, the magnet part of the things. All bracketed up. I mounted the reader onto my bracket. Simply just drilled 2 holes. There's 2-hole mounting. Drilled and tapped 2 holes. I actually used the bolts they provided, which were M4s, and just tapped it there, screwed it in. You know, clamped everything up. Pushed the bracket up to where, you know, to what is like, you know, close. As close as it needs to be, you know. Have a feel around. It kind of looked okay. Bearing in mind you're only, you know, setting it rough out because your bracket is your adjustment, isn't it? Like, you know, so, but you want to set your bracket so you've got plenty of adjustment, haven't you? Either way, that's kind of what I'm saying. So that's basically the part we're up to now, as just as getting this all set up there, ready for drilling. A little bit more faffing about because my actual timber's slightly in the way to where I want to mark up for my bolts. Obviously I'm going to drill and tap, you know, in the centre of where it is now. That is the position for, you know, maximum adjustment. Either way, I've got it right now. So I'm going to drill and tap 2 holes there, which I'll faff about and do. I can't really show an awful lot of drilling. I mean, it's going to be difficult because you've got this gap to work in here, so that may present me with a little problem, which I'm going to have to sort out in a minute. But you know, that's kind of, you know, where we're up to at the moment. Like I say, you know, SD cards, you don't always notice them when that little buzzer goes off, do you? Or the little beep goes off, and I'm rabbiting on, basically recording nothing. But I don't think, you know, there's missed something there that can't easily be explained. Again, what we've done is marked everything out, drilled and tapped the sender onto a bracket, and I used the bracket they sent with me, and I'll show you how I'd I'm only using a section of that bracket, and the reason I'm doing it with using their bracket is the thickness of that mounted from the face of the saddle there, and the thickness of that puts the reader slap bang in the middle of where it needs to be on the magnet. You know, I measured it all out, and it was, it may be coincidence, it may not be, it just happens that's the right thickness of alloy to bring it into the centre of the unit, like. Plus, you know, it's right thickness, it's nice material, it's already pre-drilled for like an adjustment bracket, so, you know, I just cut the end off it fundamentally, you know, to after I'd had a bit of measuring up to see what would work, what wouldn't work, and kind of arrived at that, you know, and it seems to be nice. I think it's also, what I believe to be most important, is it's going to be, you know, very rigid where it is. It's not going to have any flex in it, you know, so it's going to be bolted solid to the saddle. Everything else is all going to be nicely bolted up to it, and I believe it's going to work quite well. Right, here we are again, just carrying on with this Bridgeport job. Mounting the arrow. That one's all screwed up, mounted. I'll show you that in a bit. Like, you know, I wanted to show you this bit first. Was how I'm mounting the Y-axis reader, if you like. And what I've done is just made these. Really, I can see them decently. Like they're just a little mounting piece. What is it? 3/8 width with one side, and I've just drilled and mounted some 6mm pins on this side, and I'm going to pick them up on these also. I'm going to bring you in so you can start to see where I'm mounting it and how I'm doing it. Like, right, let me just bring you down to there. As you can see, that's where the setup hole is, and that's the kind of bracket. I hope you can kind of pick up on that. Notice this is that in there, and this end is sharpened to a point. I'll explain why I've done that in a minute. Mounted into these holes, which aren't actually pre-drilled in the Bridgeport mill, which I can kind of show you just screwing in, and they screw in there nicely, and they're all in a nice straight line. Obviously precision drilled holes, all level, same place if you like. It's a right handy thing to pick up on. Now if I bring my camera around to this side, I kind of show you the plan. And the plan is, as you can, if I bring this round here, these EMS sort of magnetic readers, you have this little line down here which is like a little recess, same on both sides. I found that really handy, and I've picked up on that because the reason I sharpened the end of those bolts up was each and every one of them lock into there. You know what I mean? They're all locked in at that. Now I'm just positioning my reader where it needs to be, and then all I'm going to do is get a small hammer, dink, dink and dink. It's going to leave me a little pot mark on the back of this aluminium extrusion, which I think is a right neat little idea, that is. I say, even though I say it myself, it'll make it easy, it'll make it accurate, and all being well, happy days, you know. So I just thought I'd include that bit there. So I'm going to get my little tapping hammer sorted out, which is just here. Now how I've got this, I'm, you know, positioning this so it's clear to me that, you know, it's about equal all down there, but this reader here, there you go, I push it not equal there, I'm pushing a little bit further back here because this doesn't come any further forward than that, and it's going to be a nice place. But I think, you know, if you do this with this type of reader, you just sort of make your own decision. But I'm working out how far back it comes there, and you know, you've got this much reader all the way up to it. So, you know, I've gone the other side, and I think I've got it slightly forward, you know, maybe an inch maybe, or 25mm forward on that to do that. So, you know, I think you really, it's how you're happy doing it yourself. But here we go, just get a little one on there, a little one on there, and another one there. And all being well, 2 little marks, all in the right place, I may add. See if you can pick those up. I'll just check on the camera, bring it round a bit. God, they're going to be hard to see. Oh yeah, you can pick it up just there. There's that one there. Bring it in to see, yeah, there's that one there, bringing it along. Another one there. You see it there, that's it. And keep going to this end. And another one just there, as you can see, all in that little recess. It's a right handy way of getting it all levelled up, isn't it, you know. So, you know, what I've got to do now is drill those out, which is something we don't need to really see on the cameras. I'm just going to drill them all out, all down there, just on the drill press there. All at 6.5. They are 6mm pins, but I like to put on 6.5. You know, if there is any slight variations in there, it gives you that little bit of ability to just, you know, move it one way or the other. And you know, that's what we're going to be doing. And I'll just pause the video while we're kind of doing that, because we can't see anybody just sitting there drilling holes, can we? So back in a minute when I've got all these drilled out, and then I'll sort of show you with it mounted up. Okay, doke, see you in a minute. Right then, a bit more on the DRO install. Finished it really. Cable tied. Tie all the, you know, cables up, make them look nice. Put some nice clips on there to clip them out of the way. I also want to get a bit of cable protect to cover them up. Just for peace of mind, really. They don't come. They only come with a plastic covering on it, like. But I've got to show you what we've done on here. How we finally just clipped it all up. Using some of my brackets, some of the brackets that were sent from EMS, you know. They were good quality, so, you know, I might as well use them, like, you know. I've built the whole thing with the idea of, you know, it's got to be rigid, hasn't it, like, you know, so I think I've succeeded in that, you know. Nothing flexes, you know, when you touch it. I'm going to go and just show you around where we're up to on the actual, how we've got it to it, you know. Like I say, all these, shown up early part of the video, put studs in there and clip them on. I think I might change the studs. It's very handy for marking out. Excuse me, very handy for marking out, made very easy for drilling or drill location. Little problem that I found was when you tighten them up, they actually foul on the bottom of the extrusion, at the base of it, like. So I'm thinking I might pull the studs out, although I think, you know, I'd do it again, make the studs, you know, machine them to a point. Makes it very easy to mark up where your you know, your drill positioning is, and then, you know, make 3 of those, put them in, mark up, drill all the actual you know, the readers, or the magnetic bit of it if you like, and then you know, clamp it out with some you know, cap head screws, which is what I'm thinking I'm probably going to do. In fact, I think I know I'm going to do that, because I think it'd be a better idea. The other part I made, this piece here, was just a piece of alloy, a plate that I had. I've done it at 8mm. I wouldn't go any less than 8mm personally, because it's made it really, really rigid. You know, it feels rigid as well, you know. This particular bracket here, which goes under this mechanism there, is the one that EMS provide. And also this one here, which, you know, comes in their kit. I utilise that because it has got all the adjustable ways, so, you know, you've not got to bugger about trying to re-drill something. So just get your adjustment out of their brackets. I found them to be very you know, good quality, so no problem with using those. I don't know the exact gap on there. I'm going to go on the website, and I mean the actual distance between the reader here, what I'm pointing at, which is the there, and the actual, you know, but it works, you know. I'll just take you up to the top, you know. As you can see, everything's lit up there, and if you move it, you can see the y-axis there moving around, which is you know, fundamentally what we're looking for. The X does the same thing. I'll just to show everybody that actually it's all working in that respect. Well, just at this part of the video, I'm just trying to go through exactly what I did. So, you know, I've shown that earlier on how I mounted that. I picked up these holes already pre-drilled into the Bridgeport. It's pretty level at that. Struggled a bit with the dial gauge with my DTI stand, with it being crap. but with a good measurement on the spirit level, which is plus or minus half mil, it's a good quality stabile, whatever they call them, and that's good on there. It does read full length, okay. I've used, like I say, 8mm on there, picked up those brackets, mounted it on there. I machined a little bit of those away on this bracket here because it had two like adjusting slots in there. I didn't need them because I've used that. I just thought I'll cut them off, and you know, because they are obviously no use, to sort of make it look better. Again, run my cables up there. There's a screen, if you like, to show that's all sort of lit up and working. Come around the other side. You know, that is now the X-axis reader all in, and again that's all nice, and these are the cap screws that I used on there, and I'm going to use these on the bottom there because like I just explained, I need to tidy my cables, but I want to get myself some decent sort of cable tidy and some cable protective on it, like, you know. That's just a piece of old alloy. That's the kind of bracket, like I said a minute ago, I milled these bits out because I didn't need them. I thought it looked better. So you know, without going into step-by-step instructions how to do it, I think we've kind of got there, like, you know. I didn't find it overly difficult. Put it back on the stand, and I'll have a bit of a reflection on how I done myself in front of the mill. So yeah, all in all, I found it a pretty straightforward fitting. You know, obviously you can get some people who come do it professionally. Yeah, you've got to use your own, some of your own brackets and metal. I've used all aluminium on mine, but I used you know, a decent gauge, 8mm of what I've introduced into it, like, and I wouldn't go any less personally because I was looking for, and I think it's imperative the whole thing's rigid, like, you know, it's not going to flex about. But you know, the only things I felt was difficult to do was nothing to do with the actual DRO. It's the drilling of the table. When you're drilling the holes towards the centre of the table, where you've got you know, even with the y-axis pulled back towards the front there, you struggle to get your drill in, and you can only hand drill it unless you're going to the trouble of taking the whole table off and drilling it on another mill, or I wouldn't try and do it on a drill stand personally, but I can get another mill. You know, you've just got to be careful. You know, how you drill it, because you've got 1, 2, 3. I put 5 screws in there, and the 2 screws for the actual reader what mounts on the saddle. There's 2 places for that, so there's only 2 holes, but I found it very difficult to kind of get in. So I went straight in with the 5mm bit, and it did move slightly off centre, which is meant my hole is, I don't know, quarter of a hole out, which no problem. I opened up the groove a little bit with the mill. I may even make a new one of them because I fancy doing it, I suppose. But you know, that was the kind of issue I had with that. Probably you may find the same thing, but I think it's all down to just, you know, be careful. You know, you use a smaller pilot drill to get your slot started. So you know, you're not moving around a little bit, because there is a tendency when you can't get, you know, sort of straight onto something, you're having to work at a slight angle, which is what you have to do there. It'll create you, you know, potential to do what I did. You know, the drill actually, I was pushing slightly offline for one point, and then I kind of corrected it, but it was a bit too late, and you could tell, even though I was using my guide, it definitely did move. Only a tiny amount. You know, the bolt actually did go in, but it. Oh, yeah. Back again, card full scenario there. Just had to swap it over. Remember where I'm up to. I'll have to edit it out where I'm doubling myself. Yeah, like I say, I didn't find it particularly difficult to do. Interesting, I will say. A lot of fun. You know, you're picking up with the Bridgeport mill. You've got a lot of holes there on the mill that you can use. You know, if they're there, and they can use them. You know, them are the ones to use, in my opinion. You know, they certainly worked here on this one. Any things that I went wrong with? You know, one little cockle which I showed in an early video. You know, just remember, which everybody knows, you know, that when you're drilling for a tap size, you don't drill the hole size, you drill the tap size, you know. Don't get annoyed if I'm trying to tell you something there. I'm just wish somebody had told me, and then we wouldn't have had to put a helicoil in, would we? Like, but I think that's, you know, I think maybe some of that to do with you trying to make videos of doing it as well. You know, he's kind of overlooked a little thing, but you know, no harm done. Only drill the one hole like that and realise what I've done. And but all in all, I'm pretty impressed with the DRO. I had it recommended to me from Double Boost on another YouTube guy, John Mills up in the northeast. Well worth watching if you've not seen him, and he recommended it to me, and you know, I have to say, so far so good. Like, you know, it's early works, and you know, not really a lot more you can say, I suppose. It's just fairly straightforward. You know, I've used the magnetic ones, which, you know, I spoke extensively to guys at EMS about you know, magnetic versus optical, and they're more than happy to say magnetic's the way to go. You know, I cut my length completely, you know, to dead size for my table, which is something you can do easy. You know, you take the end, just take, I don't know, I didn't show it really, just take the black end cap off the end, slide out, there's a like a stainless steel like shim. It's like shim steel, very thin, protective thing. Drag it out. I mean, I put it on the bandsaw to drill it, so nice and square. Slide it all your protective stainless steel back in. Be careful because it can kink, so you've got to be feeding it in very careful. And you just cut it off with a pair of scissors. It's only very thin stuff, and then put the end cap back on. You know, then, like I said on the earlier one, set the whole thing up. I drill my holes, put all my holes in, and that's gone on really nice. And you know, when you touch it, it's got that very rigid feel, and you know, that impresses me. You know, it's what I aim for, and what I've got. Again, just on the front one, I've just used the others. I've made my brackets. I've showed on the video how I marked out the holes. It's a simple trick. It's something I've done many times on this kind of scenario. You know, but I'm going to change the actual mounting studs for cat crew because it's fouling, and I don't know whether it's a good idea, but you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull them out and just use some normal cat screws, which will make a better job. But all in all, I think that's about all we can say about fitting the EMS DRO. You know, have a go at it. It's sort of not overly challenging. You know, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a machinist. I'm like John Mills, I'm a mechanic. But you know, I think you've got a bit of care and attention to what you're doing, and it's fairly straightforward. You know, that's all I'm going to say as the fact. But you know, if you want to make decisions and you want to phone EMS, well, I emailed them. I phoned them at first, then we did it all by email, and I spoke to I think a guy called Bruce. He was the last one, and I forget the first guy's name I spoke to. Might have been Steve, not 100% sure. But they were both very helpful. I must say, they made a great delivery when I ordered it. I think it was the following day. And you know, any questions, I think they would have been very happy to answer. So you know, I can say I'm quite impressed with it all. You know, so I think we'll call it at that. Again, if you haven't put any comments on there, you want any questions, I'm happy to answer as many questions I feel able to do so as a non-machinist. But you know, give it a whirl. It's a good fun project to do. And you know, I'm now going to start learning how to be a machinist. Oh, I do know a bit, obviously, but you know, I like this kind of machine. I'm going to get back onto my GT6 project, which is you know, like the main subject of my channel at the moment. But I like to do things like this. One, to share the information of how we've done it, and two, because I think it's interesting, and you know, I like this kind of work, metal in general, I suppose, if you like. But you know, I think probably now the next video we're moving back onto the GT6 project, and so thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Ta-da now.